So, good morning and welcome to Essential Ingredients. I want to welcome our guest, Dane Johnson. Welcome, Dane. Dane is not just a guest, but he's also really integral to making sure that this podcast is being recorded so that you can hear it. But in the meantime, we're also going to talk to Dane. He has started something called Crohn's Colitis Lifestyle. And I'm excited to hear about this, hear about your journey and why it was important for you to launch this because I think this is a topic that so many people are talking about now. So, welcome, Dane.
Thank you so much. Thanks for having me. I just want to put an affirmation out there. I want to get real results. I want to bring the real heat today. I want to give you real solutions, and get away from the sales pitch and get into the dirt, and figuratively, right? And get into the dirt, get dirty. Let's get some results. So I'm happy to be here, and I love to pay it forward. I honestly, Justine, I just built what I needed. I just built what I needed. I was so sick, and I was life-threatening sick with diagnosed, but with one doctor said Crohn's disease, the other doctor said ulcerative colitis, the other doctor said Crohn's disease, this doctor said Crohn's disease, ulcerative colitis with gastritis. I started calling it Crohn's colitis. I got widespread inflammation in the bowel. IBD equals IDK. That's as far as I got, right? And it was like no one could tell me what was happening. Doctors told me diet didn't matter. I would start reading about candida or mold or parasites or biofilms, or I'd start reading about the power of certain herbs to be great at enhancing digestion or helping in liver function, phase 1, phase 2 detoxification, or supporting a healing response or helping with ulcerations. I had ulcerative colitis, but yet I shouldn't take aloe vera. Guys, what are we talking about? What do you mean? There's tons of clinical research on aloe vera helping to reduce ulcerations, or licorice root, or mastic gum, or demulcent herbs, marshmallow root, slippery elm, all this stuff. And there's tons of clinical research. Doctors never heard of it. Doctors know it says there's no root cause. There's nothing I can do about it. And as a young kid who wasn't a doctor, I could put two and two together that you tell me food doesn't matter. I change my eating habits and I start feeling better. Not perfect, but better. So when I started seeing obvious common sense correlations, and then this guy in the white coat tells me there's no correlation, I'm going, it's like I'm looking at something, I can see it, I can touch it, I can taste it, but then you tell me it's not real. And then you wave your degrees in front of me, and I'm going, this is a really hard pill to swallow, doctor. I don't know if I could, you're not selling me. And I was a bit of a revolutionary. I never did well with too much authority. I was very respectful, but I always was a self-thinker, and I fell on my butt a few times in there. It wasn't perfect, but I think that gave me the audacity back in 2009, 10, 11 to say, food does matter. My body can heal. There is root causes and root issues to what you're calling an incurable chronic disease, which you as a man have labeled Crohn's disease.
That's amazing. I mean, first of all, kudos to you because, it's intimidating when you see the guy with the white coat come in and give you this diagnosis and tell you there's nothing you can do.
It's depressing because you want to believe in it. I wanted the doctor to give me the answer, Justine. I wasn't into all this Captain Jack Sparrow pirate life stuff. Woo-woo on woo-woo. I wanted my life back. I went on prednisone. I went on Entyvio. I went on TPN feeding tube because there's nothing else we could do. I went on mesalamine. I went on 6-MP. I went on methotrexate. I went on painkillers. I did steroid enemas. I stopped when they started talking about cutting out my colon.
Oh my goodness. That must have been terrifying.
It was the exact, oh my gosh, at 23 years old, at 25 years old. And I was an actor, a crappy one, a terrible, horrific actor. I was better at taking pictures and doing some Zoolander. That way I could do. I could not act. And I was in acting class for 2.5 years. Aggressive acting class. I didn't look good. It just didn't work for me. But it was life debilitating. I mean, depression, anxiety, loneliness. And I'd never met anyone. I had no community.
Wow. Wow. So okay, being alone for a year and navigating this, and 23 is young. I mean, you're
Yeah.
an
Well,
adult.
26 is where I nearly died, and I was housebound at 27, but I was suffering around 23 is when I started suffering. So it was 4 years of medications and trying diets. And I would go to doctor. We spent 30,000 bucks the first year, and I was a middle class family. We were not rolling in the dough.
Right. So
And
that's a
so it was
big,
just my mom. And I know there's a lot of parents listening right now. My mom was just convicted. She was like, my son just got diagnosed with incurable disease. She was the one researching it, seeing all the horror stories and seeing people live, in this terrible situation for the rest of their life. And, I was numb to it. I was a kid, I was out drinking beers, hanging with the guys, lifting weights, going on runs, trying to get ripped. I was a dude. I was a classic dude. And I was just like, oh yeah, doctor's going to fix it. I'm just going to go about my life, go back to the gym, take some pre-workout, hit it hard, and then just put me on prednisone. And on 40 milligrams prednisone, I was like, oh, it's getting better. Yeah, okay. So
were
4 years
you
of getting a little bit worse,
a
and
little bit? So what was that moment where you're like, okay, I'm taking this into my own hands. Let me see what I can find, and I gotta fix this. I gotta solve this.
it was what was the defining moment?
Hmm.
Um, when I had suffered enough. I had suffered enough where I was no longer willing to be sick. And that's a weird thing to say. When you are sick, but yet you keep eating poisonous foods and you keep drinking alcohol and you keep watching Netflix and binging till 2 a.m, you're outsourcing your health to your parents, or you're outsourcing your health to your doctor, and it's someone else. So you're waiting for someone else to fix you.
Hmm.
So I just waited. And the hard thing is I got a little bit better on the medications where I could go back to my life. So, okay, great. I'm down to 8 bowel movements instead of 20. And so for this month or two, I'm going to go back to the gym. I'm going to go back to eating what I want, because no one else, I was so justified on not changing because my parents weren't going to live this way.
Right.
No one else around me, none of my friends were. None of the professors, the doctor sure as hell wasn't living this way. How could the world ask me to give up gluten, soda, alcohol, fried food when they all did it themselves? I was angry at having to be an alien.
I don't blame you. And I gotta tell you that I can relate in the sense that while I didn't have that, I have other issues. And when I'm feeling fine and I go back to eating those things that I know are not good for me, but I'm like, hey, I feel good. Let me have that. All of a sudden, it's like debilitating. I'm like moaning. I have bloating and gas, trapped gas. And now I can't get rid of it. I'm like, oh my God, what am I going to do? And I'm trying everything in that cupboard that has bins and bins of supplements, from charcoal to licorice to no rhyme or reason. It's just me trying to, do something. I'm not a certified nutritionist like you. I'm just somebody that, tries to solve my problem. And when it gets really bad, then I call the doctor because I'm like, okay, I feel like I'm dying. And I call the doctor. They're like, okay, we'll give you some prednisone for this, or we'll do this for that, or, maybe you should do the low FODMAP, but that doesn't really, you can't live on that. It just allows you to choose the things you want to pull out of. Like, there really has to be a better solution.
Okay, let's go from first things first. The way I won in life is I had to get rid of the pain and anxiety and fear. You are taking action. You just said you did everything because you had pain. So you're doing out of fear. You have to do out of desire. I realized that the best life I could ever hope for, like a total life, take a step back and just look at your life. The best life you could ever hope for, building that and healing yourself of disease are the exact same thing.
I totally agree.
What if you paid me $10,000 right now to increase your chance to live to 95 and not have and feel vibrant the entire time? What
Sure.
would be different between that and healing disease? Because if we want to talk about longevity, get rid of snacking, get rid of seed oil, get rid of glyphosate, start doing more meditation, make sure you're sleeping, get rid of EMF and blue light in your bedroom, make sure your circadian rhythm's on point, regulate your cortisol and your melatonin. Optimize your microbiome, optimize your digestion, work on healing leaky gut, reduce lipopolysaccharides at a systemic level that increase antibody reaction and kill off brain cells, kill off liver cells, kill off all cells, and increase chance of senescent cells that increase chance of cancer. Get rid of things that mess up your cholesterol and increase heart disease and diabetes and insulin problems. It's all the same.
That's what I was just going to ask you. Like whether you have colitis, whether you have SIBO, whether whatever it is, this 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 is a solution to be able to for us all to be able to be healthier, live stronger, feel better.
Yes, with an exclamation part. Now, we just focus on IBD. Maybe one day, if God calls me to it, I'll build Shield for every disease. Because what I built was a foundation on how to take the overwhelming nature of self-healing and make it simple, make it executable, make it customized, and do it with others.
That was the word I was looking for, customized. Because
It's the
everybody is
biggest
different.
mistake. Yeah. I did the SED diet. I did carnivore diet. I did fruitarian diet. I did intermittent fasting. I did ketosis. I did water fasting. All of it is, you can't be consistent for long term. And, like with customization, understand this. If you have a histamine problem, I need to customize what you take and why. If you have poor drainage, you have methylation issues, I need to customize what you take and why. So you start with a proven system, and then you take the person. If I have a person with hormonal issues, if I have a person who's pregnant, if I have a person who's 9 years old, if I have a person who has a problem taking capsules and they need powders or they need dropper, if I have a person who doesn't do well with certain ingredients or they have candida overgrowth and they don't do well with certain sweeteners or sugars, I'll take 100 people with IBD. I've worked with thousands, literally, not just saying, literally, I've worked with thousands. My team has helped more people with IBD than anyone on the planet. There's not a coach, clinic, hospital, or doctor in the world that has more testimonies reversing IBD symptoms than our team. We are a team of practitioners, coaches, professors. We are global, and what we do, and I'm not just saying that to talk about us. I'm talking about how you get real results. It has to be customized to you. If you don't feel like it's your plan, you're just doing the plan, you're going to fail.
And I really appreciate the fact that you surround yourself with all these other experts, researchers, other
Yeah. I
people.
hire them.
Yeah, of
Why
course.
would I want to become? That's why I didn't go get my ND, because I was about to go back and become a doctor myself. And I realized it was going to cost me $1.2 million. I had to shut down my company. I had to do 4 years of school, and it was going to cost me 200 grand to get it.
Right.
So I was making, $200,000-$300,000, but working 3 jobs. I worked 3 jobs for 3 years. I bootstrapped my company. I need to figure out what was working for other people and figure out how that could work for me. I need to integrate, right? I cherry pick. The number one thing I did to heal is I cherry picked. I took strategies from Dr. Gundry. I took strategies from Jordan Rubin. I took strategies from the paleo diet, from Elaine Gottschall, from everybody. And I started tweaking it for me. So when I really healed, if you looked at my plan, it was completely unique. I use fruit, and specifically, I use meat specifically. I was very specific with polysaccharides because almost every famous diet told me to be careful of polysaccharides and starches and refined sugars and stuff. So what does everyone agree on? If every famous diet's agreeing on certain principles, then you agree on it. It's a great place for you to start not doing that. Like no matter what diet you look at, they all agree that gluten and seed oil is bad. Okay, so get rid of that. And then it was like, how do I heal on a budget? Well, I realized I didn't know how to eat perfectly, but if I only ate what I cooked for 72 days, which is what I did, then it would drastically reduce my cost. And then it was obviously gluten-free and seed oil-free and dairy-free. And then I could double my intuition of what worked for me and why. Because I did,
Totally. I mean, every
you
time I
know,
make myself a meal, or if I mean, sometimes I go out for it, but like if I make myself something simple, let's just say a piece of protein,
yeah,
fish or steak,
yeah,
right? Even if
mm-hmm,
I use butter or I use, oil or something,
yep,
and then I grill some vegetables or I make something, I feel great. But
exactly.
if I go out somewhere else and they marinate that steak in soy sauce or
They
cherry
cook it
on,
on that Teflon. They cook it on high heat with some crappy oil.
it's a whole different ball of
Yeah.
wax.
And they're not getting a good quality source. Even the organic, we're even questioning organic nowadays. Appeal?
Oh,
Or, that I read something the other day from a local farmer that said that organic only, because what they do is they mash the meat together to make meat, and they only need a percentage of that meat to be organic to call it organic. It's still like 3 different types of cow you're eating in one. The whole game is just crazy. You cannot, what I've learned through all this is you cannot scale health. You can't do it.
want to just go back to something that you mentioned for those listeners that may not be familiar with what appeal is. You and I are familiar with appeal, but I just want to make sure that we bring everyone into the conversation.
Breaking news, this company called Appeal that uses a synthetic wax is now allowed on USD organic food. And it's to increase the lifespan of organic foods. So now you can get a USDA organic label with this Appeal on it. And they aren't even legally uh, required to permit to disclose what's in it. Yeah,
And so
it's a
what's your
whole
biggest what is your
APEEL.
biggest concern about this?
That it's just another fugazi. It's another government hack to watch to help industry be able to make money on a food industry that was broken from the first place. The food industry has been broken since we tried to scale food. You know, when you tried to get these massive plants that feed 330 million people, I mean, how the heck can you have fish every single day at 500,000 locations around the United States and think that that's healthy? Yeah. So now you look at it and we have McDonald's and we have all these things where we're trying to keep the cost of food down to 15% of total take home. But in all actuality, it was never that low. It was never that low. And it's just capitalism. It's capitalism. Capitalism is built to be money over morals. And we need conscious capitalism to come in and say, I'm going to work hard and not just go for the money. I'm going to do morals over money, and I'm going to build something that actually works because I'm not here for money. I'm here for impact. We just need more of that. And it's
Okay.
hard and it's a longer road. And without money, a company can't survive. It dies. So it's a kind of against the innate need of the company. And as a guy who built my own company, I own 100% of my company. I bootstrapped it, and I'm here to serve and help people get real impact. It's really hard. I employ people that want to buy houses and want to go on vacation and want to have kids and want to have time off and want to make a good wage, and we also want to make an impact.
Right.
Because I don't care how much you want to make, you want to make an impact more than you want another whatever amount raise. Because that's the mission. Why are we here?
Well, it's funny that you say that because everybody always asks me, oh, are you incorporated? I'm like, no, I'm a benefit corporation because it means as much to me to have an impact as it does to make money. They're equally as important.
Well, and the way I get free of that, like I want to get free. I want to get free of health worries and I want to get free of financial worries. My goal is not necessarily to make more money. My goal is to get to a place where I don't even think about money. People who could go, I want to make 50 million, 100 million, a billion, you're missing the point. The point is to get to where you no longer make any decision based on money.
So if we go back to the beginning, well, not the beginning, but let's say around 27,
Yep.
when when you're figuring some of this stuff out for yourself,
Mm-hmm.
and then you decided to go to be a nutritionist.
Mm-hmm.
What specifically did that provide you with so you can now do this? Because you were
Yeah.
already doing the research and already
That's a
wanted
great
the
question.
concept. So,
It gave me the courage. Look, school, I talk with naturopath doctors, chiropractic doctors. I sat down and know the most famous doctors in the world with this, and a lot of them are brilliant and way smarter than me in a million ways. School is not where you get great. School is where you build a foundation, passion, experience, willingness to try. I got great because I was willing to try. When I first put out, I got into this because I was, I had a bit of a following from when I was doing in acting and modeling and commercials and all that. And I just stopped posting pictures of being the cool fit guy. And I started posting real things of pain and doubt and fear. And I started posting what I looked like when I was sick, which looked like I just got out of a war camp. I dropped to 120 pounds at 6'2". I'm 190 at 6'2" right now today.
that sounds
And
healthier.
yeah, and I mean, I think that it's really hard to lead or have the courage to do something great in life without great pain. When I was younger, everyone, if I hear a younger person say, I just don't know what I want to do with my life, one of my first questions I ask them is say, well, what's the hardest thing that's ever happened to you? You want to find purpose, find pain.
Yeah,
Now, I don't think we go seeking pain, but I was lost in a prison for so long. How hard it is creates a paradigm of how much you can care and how passionate you can be.
It's interesting. We just had recently somebody on. Her name is Alyssa Goodman. I don't know if you know her, out of Los Angeles. So she's not far from you. Anyway, she was talking about her issues, and the one thing she said was a doctor asked her about her emotional state. And it's not that often that I've heard that from a regular MD ask that. And I thought, wow, maybe things are evolving. Because I think what you're saying resonates with me, and I hope that it resonates.
It resonates with every human. We're just scared because it's so woo woo and it's like measuring air. Every single person on the planet knows that how they feel and how they perceive reality directly impacts their health, longevity, peace, and ability to be to live, to love,
Yeah,
to be vulnerable, to connect. We all know it. Because every single person on this call will guarantee claim that stress makes them more sick. But
I
stress is an
totally
energy. It's woo-woo. It's not even real. Stress. What's stress? Oh, I'm stressed out about my job. Then walk away and go on a beach. You're done right now. You could no one's actually holding you, right? It's a perceived imprisonment. If I call you and say the worst thing that ever happened to you in your life just happened and you believed me, you'd start flaring.
right.
But it's not because it happened, it's because you believe me. That's a perception. If I called you back and said, April Fools, gotcha, you'd be like, oh my gosh, you son of a, you had me believing that that was the reality. So the first
Right.
thing you do when you get healthy is you got to be able to dance in the rain.
But no, I'm with you. But you know what I focus on? I love so many foods that like I focus on what I can do, and it changes my whole mindset around it. And then it allows me to have joy around it because like I love to eat. I love to eat. I mean, you name it, from steak to, vegetables to whatever, and I like them in their purest form. So I don't feel like I'm giving up. It's just those moments where every now and again where I want a forkful of something because you see it. And the thing is we're making a choice. We're knowingly making a choice because we're like, okay, it's not going to be bad. We're going to have one forkful. I'll get the taste and I won't have any more. Now, sometimes that works, but a lot of times that does not work
I want to ask you a question, Justine, that's going to help everyone listening right now. Were you always that way or did it happen over time?
in terms of the way I like to eat.
Yeah.
I grew up loving to eat. I came out of the womb wanting to
No, no,
eat.
no. Did you grow up loving to eat foods in their natural form and eat organic foods,
Yes,
or was it
always,
have
always.
to so you didn't have to condition the way you eat over time?
My mother was at, oh my God, what was the natural food store on the Upper West Side, like in the 70s and 80s? My mother was telling me, Justine, you can't eat dairy. It's not good for you. You get very congested. So
Yeah.
she'd buy me tofuti at the time. That if that
Uh-huh.
takes you back a while. And then I didn't really like pasta as a kid, and I didn't like sandwiches. So nobody ever gave me bread because I was not interested in it, which maybe
Okay.
makes
Well,
sense.
Justine, you're a unicorn. Most of us have to condition this healthy life, right? I grew up on Papa John's and Subway and cereal. Like I was the worst.
Okay.
But what happens, maybe you can notice this, but over time, the more you feel better, the more you vibrate with natural earth foods and not fake, poison, toxic, Western man made, like quote unquote food, the more you stop desiring it because you just don't want to
Yes.
go back into the matrix of fakeness, you know?
So I also think that while my body's changed, certain things I don't feel well eating anymore that I used to eat well. And I wonder what role agriculture plays in that and how things have evolved to now change, the way that I digest things and feel when I eat them.
Yeah. Well, that's more of an offensive strategy. I believe that what happens with us when restrictive eating is we have to get more strict and more strict, and we start losing. Right? I had 25, now I have 23, now I have 19, now I have 17 things that I feel
Right.
comfortable with. And to me, I think that's one of the problems with playing defense too long, is when you only play defense and you restrict. Your microbiome and your nervous system can continue to get weaker and weaker because our only way to defend is to back up, not throw a punch, and we just keep circling this circling the ring, trying not to get hit. And what
Mm-hmm.
happens metaphorically is the microbiome gets weaker, the nervous system gets more dysfunctional, more fearful, more worried, and feeling more defenseless. And then our digestion might get worse. Our liver gets more clogged up because you can't completely eliminate toxins. You can sit here and get rid of parabens in your health and beauty products. You can get rid of VOCs, PCBs, microplastics. You can keep getting rid of this, but you live in this in this world, and you're going to breathe it, you're going to touch it, you're going to drink it. It's impossible to get rid of all of it. And then what happens, is our body is also losing its ability to properly detoxify. That could also be the toxin, but also could be age. As we age, we drastically reduce our natural stomach acid.
Oh,
So, if your cells are sitting there with a toxic burden for 10 years, you could, even if you could keep a neutral toxic load for 10 years, your cells will get weaker against that same load.
interesting. I
So
think that
you,
It's really an interesting
That's where you
view
are,
of the
Justine. We got to get on the offense.
we got to get on the offense. But I also think there's so many people that live like that, that,
Yeah.
they take those things out. They're
Most of
not,
us. Yeah.
most of us,
80% of us in this world are stuck in defense. I was stuck in defense for years. It's a
yes.
really hard. You have to be a Jedi to learn how to do offense and do it safely. Because everything offensively can actually make you worse. See, once you get on the offense, there's a chance of an interception, if I'm going to keep with my football analogy here. Once you throw a punch, you're now open to get hit because
Right.
your hands block your face, right? I can give you a few more metaphors, right? In order for things to go right, you must risk things go wrong. I had a girl I was working with. Um, Shout out to Jackie. She let me use her presentation when I spoke at Cellcore, and she came to us. She had already spent so much money, done so many detox plans, all this. She got rid of her house was like a perfect bubble of cleanliness, right? But her calprotectin and inflammation was stuck at 850. She had already had part of her colon removed from colorectal cancer, and she was diagnosed with colitis, and she had failed 4 biologics with elevated inflammation, eating a perfect diet. And she was at a loss. What could we do? Now, we see a case like that. We're also looking at it like, okay, this is not easy. I don't walk on water. Okay. This is hard. The big missing thing with her, okay, I'll tell you her answer before I tell you the missing problem. She's had 2 normal colonoscopies with a perfect endoscopic score, no sign of cancer, no sign of ulcerative colitis, and like a 14 calprotectin. No inflammation in her blood, in her stool tests, and perfect colonoscopies back-to-back years. And she got off, I think she was on Rinvoq or infliximab, but got off them both, still in remission. Now she's writing us, trying to apply and work for our company because 90% of our team are people with IBD. Like we don't talk to you from an ivory tower. We're on the boat. Like half my team are members of the program. I've just hired them, giving them jobs because they're great at certain things, right? So we were talking about hiring her today, but Jackie, strong Christian, strong woman, just a person of belief, man, like to get cancer at 20 something years old and just fight after surgery and still have all these problems and still eat perfect and do all that stuff. So here's the missing thing. And I'm going to put it in real simple layman's terms. She got rid of toxic exposure, but she never was able to get rid of the pre-existing toxins in her body. Her liver, her cells, and her lymphatic system, her drainage pathways were still backed up, even though she reduced all the toxic load that she was getting experienced through her air, food, and water. She couldn't detox.
Right.
The chemicals in our environment these are alien to your body. You think your liver has the ability to deal with glyphosate and these mycotoxins and these microplastics? It doesn't. We have an innate detoxification system, but it's not perfect. It can't handle all this alien stuff. One of the biggest things you need in your plan was supplements and herbs. And this is why people who always say, like I hear certain plans out there that are saying, we don't use supplements and herbs. We don't believe it. I'm like, you're crazy. We live in an alien world. You need exogenous amounts of certain types of vitamins, minerals, or supplements, or even certain medications. Itraconazole is an antifungal, ivermectin, right? That can help deal with this craziness that has been put on the body. We are being exposed to hundreds of chemicals in our air, food, and water daily. And so your body needs help. The single missing ingredients is we worked on her extracellular matrix detoxification, cellular detox. We built unique plans for her liver, her lymphatic, and then we went after biofilms. Okay. You need to know what biofilms are. They're advanced. If you don't know what you're doing, you're going to get your butt kicked if you start dealing with biofilms. So biofilms are natural with your beneficial bacteria, but biofilms also house toxins. Parasites make natural biofilms. Mycotoxins can make biofilms. This is why they're so dangerous. And this is one of the reasons why we can't find them in our stool analysis. You ever think that you have parasites and that you check your quantitative PCR stool test and there's no parasites? And evangelical parasite cleansers will tell you that the tests aren't good enough, that there's still parasites in there. Parasites house heavy metals. They house mycotoxins. They house microplastics. They house bacteria like Clostridia difficile. If you start breaking apart biofilms, you could also start testing positive for E. coli and C. diff and go, where did this come from? It's been in your body the entire time. It's been in a SUPO biofilm. And when I interviewed a brilliant doctor on this, he was telling me that after 5 years of chronic disease, your body start creating super biofilms where they're even harder to break down. So you might not even need conventional medications to really break down those biofilms, but it's like breaking apart a beehive. If you break apart that BR, if you are releasing massive amount of toxins in your body that your already backed up detox pathways now have to deal with. And then if you have leaky gut, if you have poor microbiome, if you have SIBO, what's going to happen is you're going to get metabolic endotoxemia. Your liver's going to start to flush those toxins. Well, the liver's going to flush them by putting them in bile, pushing them through the bile ducts into the duodenum, dump them into the duodenum, the upper GI, now to be released through the bowels. Well, guess what? You've got leaky gut, poor microbiome, and your body can't properly release that through the bowels, so they get reabsorbed back into the bloodstream, and now your liver has to re-deal with what it just pumped out.
Wow.
It's like
Dane,
dumping garbage in your living room.
Dane, we're going to have to continue this conversation again. I have so many more questions, and I wanted to talk about, your ability to continue to learn and what the innovations and all these different things that are so interesting. And so, maybe we'll have a follow-up conversation to continue this. But in the meantime,
Yes,
I
part
think
two.
there is so much that our listeners and our viewers can take away from this for themselves, a couple things to consider, things to look at, a new way to create that narrative for themselves, and maybe take the bull by the horns and take control of their health, if they're experiencing these things, or rather just in general to take control of your health. You don't
Yeah.
need an issue to have to take control of your health.
Absolutely. I want to leave everyone with this one thought. I know it's overwhelming. I said a lot of crazy stuff that you probably maybe haven't heard of, and maybe it's overwhelming you. The single most valuable thing in this life to gain is self-empowerment over your health. There's nothing more valuable on this planet, because when you do it for you, you can do it for your kids, you can do it from your parents, you can do it for your friends. The billionaires are running towards it. This is it. This is it. This is the most valuable thing on the planet. Get self-empowered and do it your way and make it custom for you, and find people who want to do it and share in that. The conversations are fruitful, they're colorful, they're exciting, and it gives us an avenue to be 70 years young and always have hope, and always be able to do something with whatever happens with us in life. The cure for disease is not to eradicate disease. It is the ability to respond. The more self-empowered you get, the more you can respond. Happy healing. Thanks.
Dane, thank you so much for joining me today on this conversation and helping me make sure that everyone could hear us. Um, and for those folks that do want to, learn a little bit more about you, learn a little bit more about your clinic, and want to get in touch, what's the best way?
We're telemedicine. So a lot of people say, hey, can I come here? Can I fly? I'm like, no, we do everything on Zoom and online. We have practitioners all around the world, and we do that. We see people in Africa and India, Europe, all that. And we have all the systems you need. But just check us out. We're all over the internet, crohnscolitislifestyle.com. Do some research. We do a free 1-hour session. Justine, let's make sure we'll put that link below so we know you came from Justine.
We'll put that in the show notes.
Yeah, so let us know you came from Justine. But it's a free 1-hour session, and we deep dive and we look for IBD. If you suspect IBD or IBS, we're open to that too. We just want integrity. We want integrity and trust, and see if it's a good fit, and we can help you out. But Instagram, find us Crohn's Class Lifestyle, and on Google you'll see us, and YouTube and all that stuff.
Awesome. Dane, I want to just take a minute. Thank you. Thank our guests for tuning in each week. And for those folks that are tuning into Spotify or wherever you listen to a podcast, know that you can also watch our video cast on our Essential Ingredients YouTube channel. So don't forget to follow us on Instagram and YouTube, and leave us a note if you want to hear more from Dane. If you've got questions, we want to hear from you. We want to hear what else you want to talk about. So we look forward to continuing these conversations, and see you next week.